Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Afan Ridho. I am English student in TBI 3. Here I would like to explain you about 6 steps in the processing of research. And first is identify research problem. And the second is reviewing literature. And the third is specifying a purpose for research. And the fourth is collecting the data, and the fifth is analyzing and interpreting the data, and the sixth is reporting and evaluating research. Okay, now we are going to the first step of process of research is identify research problem. First of all, you start your research study by identifying a topic to study, an issue or problem in education that need to be resolved. So first, if you are going to identify, the first step is identifying research problem means that you see a problem in study or even in some issue or a topic you are going to resolve. So it is called as identifying research problem. I will give you the example. When you If you are English student educations that interest in speaking class, so you are going to identify what is the problem of speaking in a class during the pandemic COVID-19. So it is one step to identify uh, the research, identify the processing of your research. So by saying the problem happened, finally you can resolve this problem. That's the easy understanding of identifying research problem. And the second is reviewing the literature. Guys, reviewing the literature, it is very important step to know who has studied research problem you plan to examine. Reviewing the literature means locating summarized book, journal, and index publications on topic. Why I say it is very important? Because in research, most of the reader or even people who want to examine your research in your paper, they will see the literature, review your paper in literature also. When you read some journal or book, of course you need some literature inside of that book to see further in reading. I give you the example. When you are what is that research about literature circle during pandemic COVID-19, you can see in the journal of TESOL under the title of literature circle in student undergraduate in Indonesia. It is written by Mr. Sandi and I and my friends Zahra and Vicky. So if you have found the problem, and then you are going to begin your research, also you need some literature to make sure your research is good. And also I as the reader of your research, of course, will see the literature review of in your research, especially in your perfect paper. And the third is specifying a purpose for research. Okay, we got one understanding of purpose. So what is the purpose of your research? Okay, Specifying purpose for research means identifying the major intents or objective for study or narrowing it into specific research questions or hypotheses. So the purpose, the third step is going to give us about identify the major intents or objective for study. So the when we are going to write some research in our paper, so we are going to have some research in objective. It will create some hypothesis or some, what is that, some research questions. uh, in qualitative and quantitative research, I think some research, it will give, what is it, novelty in the research. When the research, it is an objective, it I think it is nonsense for the research. So that why specifying a purpose for research, it is really important also in our paper. Because when we are going to deny this step, in the third step, specifying purpose for research, it will be difficult for us to write and to have some good research in our paper. And the fourth is collecting the data. Collecting means, what is that, having some, what is that, some good data, even it is from personal or even from another aspect in the collecting data. Collecting data means identifying and selecting individual for study. Because it is our research, we need to obtain accurate data from individual and place. Yeah, I have stated before that from individual, or in another perspective we call as informant. So it is very important, because when we has already get the data, we are going to draw in some paper by giving some mapping map data in our paper by some manner, such as, what is that, such as in the table of the research. When you are reading some journal, or even what is that, a book, sometimes, of course, in the journal there will be any table of the data in some research. But to have the valid data or individual, we have to select it, because sometimes the data isn't accurate. So we have to see, what is that, the object of getting the data is there. Okay, the fifth is analyzing and interpreting the data. After we got the data, so we are going to interpreting and analyzing the data. How it is work? Analyzing and interpreting the data means is involving writing conclusion about representing in a column table. I have actually, the collecting data and analyzing data is step, and also, what is that, it is engaged between collecting data and analyzing and also interpreting. I have stated before in the fourth step just now. So when we are in the 5 step of analyzing and interpreting the data. So we try to get the data and what is that, and try to draw the data. Draw means that try to write the data that we have gotten in objective study. I mean from the informant or individual or even a place, because when we try to research some on some class or educations in school, of course it is kind of a place and also informant from the teacher or even another perspective of that. It is not only have what is it, it is not only write and drawing some the data what has been gotten that has been gotten by us in some place or individual, but also it is also interpreting means that coming from another perspective, like from the picture, or maybe from summarizing all the data that have been gotten by us in the fourth step is that collecting the data itself. And also interpreting, it is also called as conclusions of the data. So when we have already collected data, so we are to conclude the data, which that the data is need to read or not in our research. And the last is preparing and evaluating research. Reporting and evaluating means the last step in our research. Sometimes when we are in a class, our upper level give us some some question in that research. It is also called as reporting and evaluating research. Evaluating and reporting research mean that deciding an audience. Yes, deciding an audience. What does it mean, deciding an audience? Deciding an audience means that the final research of our paper. So we are going to give how people read our research in context of what is it, of final research. The easy example is that when it is becoming our research or hypothesis or what is that, so we are going to have some audience to actually review our research, and they will have some questions, or we are going to evaluate what is the what is the likeness of our research, and we are going to repair it into a good and perfect research. I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. And last, I say thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.